Isn't he Mexican?
Colombian.
He calls himself American.
What is this?
Anchor Baby.
And in this corner, it's the American Anchor Baby.
Daddy's home.
That's an offensive term. People find that hurtful.
You mean it's not politically correct? Excuse me. I'll use the word anchor baby.
You know, he's an anchor baby in Canada.
Tell him we still rolling with Trump, too.
Anchor baby, the whole thing sounds horrific. You're just making it sound like immigrants are these horrific, greedy people.
Ustedes pueden aceptar mi negocio o aceptar las consecuencias. Plata o plomo.
So you would be considered white, in my opinion.
You the blackest one in this room.
I think so.
And what happened was his mama got pregnant on the other side of the border. And then a few hours before, just before it was time for him to pop out, she jumped across the border and let him fall on American soil. So he became the anchor baby. They don't call him the anchor baby for nothing. Amazing.
We like this anchor baby, right?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. If you look at your screens right now, you're seeing a light bulb. You're seeing a live feed of a light bulb, a specific light bulb. You are watching a live stream, a live webcam stream of the Centennial Bulb, named as such because it is the longest burning light bulb in history. Now in its 120th year of illumination, it was installed in a fire department in Livermore, California in 1901. This is the Centennial Bulb. Y'all are saying fluorescent, but no, this is your eyes are gandering, currently gandering. In the process of gandering, the Shelby Electric Company light bulb, incandescent light bulb. This is a live feed, in fact, in this fire department. It's been on for over 1 million hours in Livermore, California, 1901. I was reminded of this amazing little slice of the past by someone, a social media person I've been seeing this person on the internet over the years. Has a sort of following. Maybe I've been sort of following too. Kind of, sort of, paying attention here and there. So I want to talk about this here. I do want to welcome all of you. Thanks for tuning into my show. I am the American Anchor Baby. Welcome. I much appreciate it here. What's up? I got the Zelensky on. I got the designer Zelensky on. It's Tuesday. We're having a great time on the Bond Network. And now it's American Anchor Baby. I got the expensive Zelensky on. What can I say? It's a good Tuesday. Right on. What's up, everybody? I see you in the chat. Appreciate it. Drop that like, or subscribe here on YouTube. That's one way you can support. There's some very generous and kind people who super chat and donate. And you hear about them, but you might wonder, how can you support? A simple comment on the video, a like, and a subscribe helps quite a bit. Let's game the algorithm, the audience. Let's get in there with your help. If you'd like to help over on Rumble, we're on Rumble. I'm on Rumble. Rumble.com/American Anchor Baby. The stream is going on over there. The party has started. I see you in the chat. I see you guys going. Appreciate that. So, of course, we'll be doing some of this light bulb talk, which fits everything in the show today, as well as your calls. 888-775-3773 if you want to jump on the line here. So, the Shelby Electric light bulb, the one you just saw known as the Centennial Bulb, due to it being on for so long, since 1901. I was reminded of this little slice of the past by Dr. Parkenstein. He's like a social media individual who's into old-timey stuff. I don't know too much of this person's content, but I've seen him around over the years on the internet, and I came across this little video he put out of his own Shelby incandescent light bulb, one he owns from 1901 as well. He has his own.
Okay.
He has his own Shelby incandescent light bulb, and he showcases it here in this video. I want to show you real quick, but he showcased it alongside a very poignant message over on Twitter, now known as X.com, I guess. Dr. Parkenstein shares this video of his own Shelby electric incandescent bulb. The same type of bulb and the exact same type of bulb as the Centennial bulb. And he writes it here in this tweet. I'm calling it a tweet. And he writes this poignant message here. He writes about the Centennial bulb, about the one constantly burning since 1901, and the one he owns being the exact same one. He writes here some details about the Shelby bulb, how it's made of the filament is made of carbon. It's 5 times thicker than modern filament. And Dr. Parkenstein here in this tweet mentions also how he became aware that the incandescent light bulb is being phased out due to inefficiency. The incandescent, the old primitive incandescent light bulb is being phased out. We don't need this old primitive technology. We have modern technology, modern electrics, modern fluorescence, okay? And so due to inefficiency, the incandescent is being phased out, okay? And so Dr. Parkenstein was reminded of the incandescent being phased out, so he put out this video of his own Shelby to remind people that the Shelby light bulb was made to last forever. And a bulb that lasts forever will not be thrown away, and the materials will still be in use versus a modern incandescent or light bulb where the materials are just thrown out, never to be seen again. How many light bulbs have you gone through this year? Chat? You know what I'm saying? Interesting. Things have changed. I talk about that a lot. I got a super chat here from Beef It to Be Fit. Thanks for that. It's first time super chatter, I think. Might not be a first time super chatter. Usually YouTube would inform me if you were a first time super chatter. If you are, thank you. If you're not, thanks anyways. Beef It to Be Fit says there is a great documentary from BBC called The Century of Self. It is very good. Might educate the chat tards a bit. Planned obsolescence is covered. Interesting. Thank you for that, Beef It to Be Fit. Very thematic. I do love being thematic, as you all know. Planned obsolescence. Kind of talked about this a little bit the other day, too, with the Apple batteries and all that. And we had some nice conversations about all that. But the Centennial bulb, I'm talking about the Centennial bulb and the Shelby bulb here. I want to show you this clip here from this Dr. Parkenstein. I love this guy. You'll see why. Let me pull up my little clips here, do my little snazzy tech stuff. And let me show you this beautiful clip here.
Okay, today I'm going to show you something really interesting that I got for Christmas. I bought it for myself. So here it is. It is from 1901. It's a Shelby electric light bulb with a Thomas Houston base. This type of base was patented in 1901. And of course, what good would a Shelby light bulb with a Thomas Houston base be without a Thomas Houston base from 1899?
So true.
And this light bulb is from 1901. Okay, now I'm in the garage because it's dark in here, and I will plug in the light bulb to make sure I'm plugging it in right because I can't see it.
Okay.
There it is.
Dang.
And that is from 1901. It's a Shelby electric light bulb.
Thank you, Dr. Parkenstein.
It's the same as the light bulb in the Livermore, California fire station that's been burning for over 1 million hours.
Wow. Thank you for that information, Dr. Parkenstein. Your work does not go unnoticed, definitely. I love this guy. Man, so true, man. So true, Dr. Parkenstein. What good would a Shelby light bulb be without a Thomas Houston base from 1899? I mean, just poignant fact, poignant points. By Dr. Parkenstein here. I love this guy. You know, he seems like he has one of those, like, behavioral things. And I say that cautiously because I grew up in the time where they call it autism and all that. But, you know, I don't want to go with them calling giving names to the ways people act, I think, erroneously. But he seems like he has one of those, behavioral things? Autism or something. He's got tism or something. That's my Rodney Dangerfield. So this is the quote, the point he made about the inefficiency and how they're being thrown away. This is his Twitter profile. Dr. Parkenstein, he loves this old school kind of look, the like old horror movies. He in his bio, he's a social media influencer, picking up where Nikola Tesla left off. I mean, where was I? I like this guy. I'm just checking out his link tree here. You can check him out on Twitter. Dr. Parkenstein. Where was I? Here, I'm just on his link tree here. You know, this is what he's into. He's into old-timey electrics and stuff like that. And I appreciate it, okay? How to build a receiver coil. Wow.
Okay, today I'm going to show you how to build...
And he has this funny way of speaking. How to build a receiver coil. I'm just clicking on his link tree here.
Okay, today I'm going to show you how to build a receiver coil from start to finish, all in one video. So here are the materials you will need. You will need at least 1,464.2857 feet of wire.
Okay, very specific. I mean, he gives you a whole video on how to build this receiver, wireless electricity. I mean, sounding like he really is the future, the Nikola Tesla of our time. Maybe Nikola Tesla was what you might today call an autist. You know what I mean? And we love autists, as I like to call them sometimes, pattern noticers. Okay, they look good at that stuff. They notice patterns. Okay. So shout out to the pattern noticers. I wonder what Dr. Parkenstein here thinks of the traditions of that time he's so into. He's so into the 50s and the 20s and the 30s. You hear the 1920s jazz playing in the background. And if you look at his content, he's into all that. I wonder what he thinks about the traditions of that time. Because not that long ago, you could say 50 to 100 years ago, people behaved and thought a different way that today would be seen as all sorts of things, extremist, misogynistic, Nazi. So as much as Dr. Parkenstein may talk about electrics and what life was like at that time, I wonder if he has commentary on other more spicy stuff. That'd be nice to hear. But back to the Shelby incandescent, as you've been educated here, incandescent, especially the way they used to be made, seem to last a very long time. This Shelby that he showed, the one that he owns, seems to be working for him. He plugged it in his own garage. It's amazing. And some of you in the chat are already somewhat aware of this planned obsolescence and how the light bulb industry is one of the best. Here, spoiler alert says planned obsolescence is real, and the light bulb industry is the perfect example. And I think that's somewhat true. I wonder if it's the operative word planned here in this case, though. I wonder how much focus can we really put on planned. There may be some of that, but it's, I think, another drug dealer, drug user situation here. Meaning, what I mean by that, how there's blame to go on all sides. Planned obsolescence, yeah, there may be some planned, but also some giving in by the people, don't you think? Our own standards. You might think, well, Nick, I never wanted these light bulbs to go out. I've always wanted the Shelby. I'm not talking about those standards. I'm talking about the standards inside, right? Our own lives, individually, and moment by moment. You can kind of graph your direction. You know what I mean? You're degenerating or you're rising up. Okay, kind of simplistic. Go discover what that means. I may not know myself fully. But I agree, right? So true, Dr. Parkenstein. What good would a Shelby light bulb be without a Thomas Houston base? Drop-in standards. Drop-in standards is a little bit of the theme today. Decaying standards. And I agree with Spoiler, how better is this exemplified than the Shelby light bulb? How many countless bulbs have come and gone, and this Shelby continues? A difference in philosophy. Do you maximize cheap mass production or, I don't know, well-engineered, artisanal even stuff? It seems America made its choice, or some people may have made the choice without our approval. You know, we're not even, the Shelby 1901, we don't have to go that far, though, that far in the past to talk about incandescence in the light bulb industry. I got a little article here. What you need to know about the incandescent light bulb ban. This is August 1st, 2023, CNN article. So it's not that old news, okay? It's still happening. It's still a topic, you know? It's still important. Here it is. Incandescent light bulb ban. Did you know about it? What they're calling it an incandescent light bulb ban. America's ban of incandescent light bulbs, 16 years in the making, is finally a reality. Well, mostly a rule issued in 2007. So Obama rolled back by the Trump administration, right on, Mr. President, and updated last year by the Biden administration. Oops, never mind. Effectively bans the sale of common incandescent light bulbs. The rule went fully into effect Tuesday, August 1st. So the decay continues today. Trump was trying to stop it. Hello? Can we get a little cred? He never did. He never built the wall. He never did anything. Oh, okay, maybe not that he didn't do anything. You guys have fair criticisms. But the dropping standards, Trump was trying to do something here. He's like, why are we these dropping standards? Wait, turns out the government's involved. 2007, I guess Obama. Rolled back by the Trump administration. You gotta appreciate that. And then brought back and then updated again by the Biden administration to continue this path to decay. Thanks, Biden. The rule passed by President Joe Biden's Department of Energy in April 2022 states that light bulbs must emit a minimum of 45 lumens per watt. A lumen is a measure of brightness. Where's Maze with all this brightness talk? I wonder what Maze has to say about lumens and bright people. Of course, I'm just playing. If you know, you know. Shout out, Maze. This will effectively outlaw the manufacture and sale of common incandescent bulbs, the kind you screw into the vast majority of light bulb sockets in your home. That's because traditional incandescent bulbs provide just 15 lumens per watt. Ooh, just 15? Get it out of here. By contrast, most LED bulbs will get you 75. Now, incandescent versus fluorescent. Anybody in the chat who's an actual expert on this stuff? Where does LED fit into all this? I think LED is pretty good, no? But again, this doesn't detract from the... Oh, I got Bill. Hey, Bill. He knows a little thing or two about what I'm talking about. Is it in the hierarchy of incandescent, fluorescent, and LED? Where do you place the LEDs, sir? They're at the top. LEDs at the top. Right on. Well, thanks, Bill. You guys know Bill, engineer. You want to say something about this? Want to pop on the mic? Come on, sir. Don't be shy. I may not be able to show Bill, but I will definitely unmute your mic so that you can speak to the people here. I got Bill, the engineer, here. Thoughts on the LED? Thoughts on the Shelby? Have you been hearing this segment here so far?
Not really. I mean, I'm hearing just a little bit of it right now.
But I'm talking about the incandescent light bulb that was built in 1901. That's still burning today in a fire department in Livermore, California.
But it's really, really red.
It's really red, right?
Right. It's carbon.
Like not the kind of light color that we like.
Right. It's a carbon filament bulb. It's really, really red, or really, really dark. I don't know. Like the regular incandescent warm white is like 2700K, which you see sometimes.
I know a little bit about this.
But
the warmth of the light versus
these are probably,
the wattage. If we can explain to the chat a little.
Well,
you're talking about the warmth, the color of the light.
It's like a browner white.
Gotcha. As opposed to the strength.
A bluer white, right.
Gotcha.
Or a white
that matters a lot.
Right.
That matters a lot for homes and how we want to live, like the kind of vibe we want to give a certain room. It matters a lot. We live there every day.
I mean, the kitchen, you like it white usually. Living room or your bedroom, you might want warm white.
Interesting. Yeah. So some changes and advancements, if you will, are there obviously for us and make sense. What do you think about this whole talk I've been pretty much bringing up on the incandescent being phased out, and how some people are calling this a demonstration of planned obsolescence. You've heard of this?
No, well, I heard they were phasing them out. Yeah.
And how they're not making things as like they used to, like to last, built to last. What do you think about that?
No, LEDs last longer than incandescent bulbs. I mean, there were always incandescent bulbs that actually lasted a long time too. And LED bulbs get like, you get 10 times as much light for the same amount of power.
No, I know about LEDs a little, and in this whole talk, I left that as a little aside. I'm like, what about LEDs? Because those are pretty darn good,
right?
In forms of color, wattage, how long they last.
We have LEDs here, you know. They're not. Well, I mean, you have to watch some stuff with LEDs because sometimes their color isn't quite right. That can affect the picture. You know,
I'm with it, LEDs. But Bill, don't detract so much from my point here. What do you think about, no, but feel free if you need to. What do you think about the quality of things? Don't you think, would you agree or disagree with me that things aren't built to last anymore? And that's kind of the we're going China. We're going Chinese with things.
There's a lot of that to things, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like they're not built to fix them. They're built as cheap as possible and to work well enough.
Right.
That is the Chinese.
Right?
That is a Chinese thing. Yeah, just work not top quality, but just good enough quality.
Right. and like Dr. Parkenstein was saying, I showed he was another individual who owned one of these Shelby 1901 light bulbs, saying, you know, what about all the materials, you know, with every new light bulb you have to make, you don't have to make a new one if yours lasts. Like,
right.
That's an interesting point, don't you think?
Right, but no, the LED light bulbs really last.
No, I'm with you, LEDs. It reminds me a little bit of a point you made the other day on this show. It was about, you know, you're seeing a march towards ego and things not being real, you know, in society in general. I kind of see that same philosophy being demonstrated in, for example, the quality of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, things are just becoming less and less real.
Real.
Period.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's more like everything's more to it's more about, you know, the self-image. It's more about it's like
maximizing.
It's like, right, it's like nobody's really about fixing anything, really.
Right.
So nothing gets fixed. And then, and this, we're talking ego here. So ego.
Right. Ego, maximize profits, maximize.
But big ego, you know, ego works to fix ego, not to fix
like
problems.
A patch job?
It's like, it's not really about fixing things, which is weird.
Ego.
It's about fixing ego.
That makes sense.
Right.
To me.
So the more things go like this, you know, nothing gets fixed, nothing gets done properly because everything's about fixing ego.
It's
so
a negative
weird,
feedback
though,
loop.
that the human race is this screwed up. I mean,
we really are robots, input, output, and we're stuck in a negative feedback loop called ego.
I don't know what to make of it. I mean, I don't know what to make of it. Yeah. It's just something else, you know.
It's amazing, and we're going to try to... Sorry, go on.
When you look at politics, everything else, that's what's really going on. That's at the heart of it.
I like that point you make.
It's awful.
I really do like that point you make. I like bringing it up. We're going to try to make some sense of it this show, though, as we go on here. Bill, thanks for that. If you're welcome to, you know, hang around or just go. Thanks, man. That was Bill the engineer. Hey, Bill. And A lot of truth in what we're talking about here. What do you guys think? What do y'all think? LEDs may last longer than modern incandescents, but the light bulbs from 1980s were much longer lasting, says spoiler alert. And like, Nick, let that man go. Nice. Very cool. So, just thanks, Bill, because it adds more to the conversation here. You're welcome to call in 888-775-3773. But where was I? I was just showing you the incandescent ban that's still being talked about. Thanks, Biden. And I think it really is.
We really started.
We can really say that it's a decay of standards in us individually and people, and we're seeing it demonstrated out in the world. Okay, it's about. It goes from the inside to the outside, not the other way, okay? The immaterial then is then represented in the material. You following me? So, what's this? We got a little video on this Shelby light. Can we get a little footage here? Maybe you guys will enjoy this, and then we'll move on, okay?
Story about the alarm clock that kept on ticking for 13 years.
I don't care about this alarm clock. Wait, show me the light bulb. The Shelby, here it is.
Years. A light bulb that's been burning brightly for more than 116 years. We kid you not.
Okay, Bill's right. I don't want that in my kitchen. It is the wrong color. But can we appreciate that? 160 years? Show me another bulb does the same thing.
116 years. We kid you not.
We'll have to wait on the LEDs, I guess.
Continuously since 1901.
Modern fluorescent bulbs last about 20,000 hours. But this bulb at the Livermore Fire Department near San Jose, California, has been on for 1 million hours and counting. Think about that. It's been on through World War I and II, the moon landing, and
the moon landing. Don't forget that one.
51 presidents, starting with McKinley, right through Trump. Tom Bramble, retired
Trump.
deputy fire chief, is in charge of looking after the bulb.
You're not allowed to touch it, by the way. We don't even dust it off.
So how is it possible that this bulb...
I wonder if there was ever any lapse, you know what I mean? Like a lapse in the Shelby, and they're like, yeah, we're not going to talk about that. Just turn it back on, and nothing happened.
has been working for 41,600.
Whoa, why'd they choose that evil number? 41,666 days? Okay, Inside Edition, we're moving on. This is a Christian show. Okay, or somewhat. Okay, so that's the Shelby. I hope you enjoyed that. Decaying standards and decaying psyches. You know what I'm talking about? Let's check this out. Let me show you something here. You know, talking about all this decay of standards, there's a decay of our own standards individually and of the people themselves. We're talking the mind degenerating, decaying psyches, decaying world. What's going on here? Check this out.
This is the moment.
Whoa! Wake up!
When Ashley Upton's heart dropped.
Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God! Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Are you okay? Yep, I'm fine. Are you? I don't know. Are you? Oh my God. Are you? I think so.
This camera angle showing what caused the impact. A car crashing into the 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 in Chandler around lunchtime on Saturday. This man sitting just feet away from the car. Cardona thought it was a hit and run. This video shows him following the driver before it went through the building.
Multiple people are recovering this morning after a car hit them at a crosswalk. This happened in Midtown. Police say that driver fled the scene only to end up in a car crash on the Long Island Expressway.
We're going so fast. I know. Why are we going so fast?
Plane news. We got a plane action?
Why is he turning? Why is he turning? Race. I'll be race. Holy
Sparks are flying. Whoa, that last one there looked like it might have been a Nick stream landing there. I disavow such slander on my own company, though, because my own legal team might go after me. And you don't want that. We have a big legal team at Anchor Baby Airlines, so you don't want to be slandering Anchor Baby Airlines the way I just did. So that last video, thanks, spoiler alert, is in the chat with some links to some of these crazy videos. Wake up, were you asleep? Yeah, this is some videos coming out just from this morning. And, okay, I'm talking about decay. I've never seen so many car crash videos and like violent ones where they're where they're plowing into groups of people. That's just one from New York. You look that up. There's a whole bunch of news stories of cars plowing into crowds of people. Why am I feeling like I didn't really quite see this before? Again, I could be just, following some trend and video trend and news, and those things can be manipulated. So don't take that so deep, but still, I feel like I didn't quite see videos and news stories and so many of cars plowing into people. What's going on here? And then plane stuff. We're seeing more of that. Some are saying that there's just no time in between disasters, if you want to call them that. Some are saying this. I'm not saying this. They're saying this. We have reached the stage where there is literally no pause between major disasters hitting in the United States. It seems one after the other, no? Now, again, news, media, and all that. Not something to be. Don't go into all the hype, but at the same time, we saw Maui. We seen this. We seen that. The floods. Those are natural. But then we're seeing the homeless and the crime. Decay. Right? One thing you say about me is I'm thematic. I mean, who saw that 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 clip? 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒏, that Maui water officer who's facing scrutiny over his fire response. They're saying he delayed some important moves with the water reserves that should have been filled before this. And even on the day of, there were delays in diverting streams and so that reservoirs could be made available to firefighters during this and before. So, 3-page document calling on the suspending of this guy. You might have seen him on the JLP show. 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒏, talking about some equity business with the water, saying some mess about, well, it's the water connects us and we need to have conversations about equity. That's really what's going on. We're talking about all this decay. I mean, how better exemplified? We got the Shelby light bulb on one end, if you believe it, and we got 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒏.
The commission is responsible per our authorizing statute to protect and manage all water resources in the state. One Water is like taking it and looking at it from a holistic system perspective. And that's not any different than how Hawaiians traditionally managed water. You know, in essence, we treated Native Hawaiians treated water as one of the earthly manifestations of a god and a kua kane. And so that reverence for a resource and that reciprocity in relationship was something that was really, really important to our
all this gibberish. Just remember, as he's saying all this gibberish, there's a just imagine like screaming people in the background, okay?
And well-being, right? And living in an island, isolated from other civilizations. And so I think
water belongs to everyone. Look, it's ridiculous. And I'm talking about decay, and this all fits, okay? And I think people underestimate the brainwashing and incompetence. Because we talk about planned obsolescence. And there may be some planning, like, for example, planning in a way to make your products less, to make them cheaper to produce, throwing quality by the wayside and that kind of stuff. Yeah, there's some plan going on. Maybe even some darker planning. We never did find out if Apple really did planned the obsolescence of those batteries because the lawyers, they took a, and again, I'm a layman. I'm not a lawyer. I could be wrong about what I'm saying here. But the lawyers in that whole case took a settlement. So we never really did get to the bottom of it if Apple really did plan the obsolescence of their batteries of their phones. So there may be this and that, but also we can't underestimate the brainwashing and incompetence of people, our own standards and the falling of it. Just let's think of ourselves at work, for example. Okay? You know. Geez, it's crazy. and they blame it on climate change. You got John Podesta. You know, there's the decaying of standards and incompetence, and then there's this. John Podesta blames climate change for Maui fire. It's like, you can have your theories and all that, but am I supposed to just sit here and you tell me, yeah, it was climate change, and we're like, okay, yeah, wash your hands. It was climate change, y'all. No act and real work to get to the bottom of it. And when I say the bottom of it, it's like, yeah, you could show me a power line that started a fire, but can we get to the bottom of the heart that allowed their area to decay, et cetera, et cetera? You see what I'm getting at here? I'm talking about that. Let's get to the bottom of that. So, decay. What else do I have to say about this? You know, the decay of the standards, decay of our own standards, decaying of, and I see your calls coming in, much appreciated. I will get to you, 888-775-3773. The decay of the world around us, our government, our standards, the institutions, the buildings and stuff themselves. But look, the decaying of the psyche, you guys got to check this out. Again, I hate to be just showing you videos and going like, oh, what the heck is this? But look at this.
Trump or Biden?
There's a man on the street video I came across, and it's about Trump versus Biden. This young man seems to be asking what looks to be a college person out on the street. What are they choosing, Trump or Biden? What are they going to choose, Trump or Biden? Of course, I don't want you to pay too much attention to a dumb liberal. Oh, what is a dumb liberal saying? They're just going to say what they're going to say. Just pay attention to the spirit or mentality of the person he's asking, because it demonstrates the decay of the psyche as well. The decay of the psyche. Let's watch.
Trump or Biden?
Type of dumbass question.
Trump or Biden?
If you say Trump, you would bitch, and your mama gonna fall down a flight of stairs. Biden.
Why?
So you racist?
I'm not racist. I'm just wondering why.
Right now.
It's bleeped, but she says, I'll give you $20 if you say the N-word right now.
I'm not down for that. Trump or Biden?
What is that? That was what you just heard is the squeal of prey. What you just heard is the squeal of prey that knows he's been caught in a trap.
I'm not down.
Let me play that sound again, little sound bite again. The squeal of prey in its trap.
I'm not down.
Because what's up with black people? They think if you say the N-word, even in this case where she's like, I'll give you $20 if you say the N-word, obviously setting him up. Because if he were to say it, he's racist. And what does that mean? Carte blanche to do whatever you want to him. She's raising her water bottle as if she's going to smack him in the head. You know what that means? If you say the N-word, even if you were dared, that means your heart is evil. This is what I mean by degenerating psyche. There's no logic here. There's just no logic at all. It's pure anger and judgment. And we can see that demonstrated in all races and all people. But she's saying, if you say the N-word, if I dare you to say it, and let's say he says it, that means she knows his heart. You are a racist. And you, even though you see that how there's a lack of logic here? It couldn't be that he just says it because he was dared, or he wanted $20, or he wanted to call her bluff, or whatever other reason. No. She knows his heart. He's a racist, and your mama should fall down a flight of stairs for that. You see what I mean by degenerating psyche? So, these are all my examples here. It's a degenerating world, okay? We might have a little answer for you here. It's not all doom and gloom, but it's thematic, and it fits the show, okay? So, I'm going to take your call here right now. I want to get into the decaying of the conservative movement, throwing rocks, and race and IQ. Some of you are already lit up with that last video I showed you. You guys are going straight IQ on this one. You might be surprised. A little bit of a twist on this story here. You're going to want to stay tuned. But first, let me get to Grant out of the UK. Appreciate your call, Grant. You're on the air.
Hey, you're right.
What's up, Grant?
What's up, man? I'm sorry if the question I asked isn't about what you were just saying.
Okay, sorry. So you have a question, you said? Are you on speaker? Just make sure you're close to your phone.
I'm not.
Gotcha.
Is that better?
That is actually better. Thank you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, my question. Well, it's more of a pontification, but I want to hear your opinion on it.
Lay it on
Obviously, the more present we are in the nature of God, like the nature of God is to be present, and if you're in that nature, you are in the love of God. Do you think the beginning of humanity starting to invent things like the Tower of Babel was somewhat of the beginning, but the beginning of humanity thinking that they need to invent things is them turning away from God? Or do you think it's natural for us to find comfort in innovation?
I really don't know, man. I've thought about this a little bit, though, because I think about what you call progress and technology. And I wonder, it's like, has every invention and every thought and every little thing brought us a little bit farther and farther from what we already have naturally and born with? The Garden of Eden, whatever you want to call it. This is me pontificating too, alongside with you. So who knows what we're talking about here? But seriously, and sometimes I think about this, and it feels like every little thing and technology and thing that's supposed to be convenient and better, maybe in my mind, pulls us farther from, I guess, nature's God. You know what I mean here? Like I think about the alarm clock. I did this segment on people that wake up naturally. And how people used to wake up naturally, and the alarm clocks, and people people used to be alarm clocks. They used to call them, I think, rap knockers, or they were people employed to wake people up.
Right.
But that's a really modern thing. All before that, people were just waking up naturally. You know, they call it circadian rhythm and all that. And so, as it pertains to your question and conversation, I mean, I really don't know though. What do you think?
It seems for me on a personal level, because at the moment I'm creating this painting, and
You said you're creating a painting?
Yes. And I told myself, which I think is all ego, but I did tell myself, I'm going to create a masterpiece. I was like, you know what? I'm going to create a masterpiece. And every time I seem to go into the painting, I seem to go into a form of chaos. And I noticed that if you look at people in our recent history, or even just in history, the people who have invented quite prolific things for humanity, if you look at the individual like Steve Jobs, whoever, they all, from a far distance, obviously I didn't know them, but they all seem like people that had a lot of ego and a lot of believing that they're better in some form of way. And then it's like when that thing that they built or created gets into the hands of humanity, maybe it's like a subconscious we are better, which then takes us away from God. Because like fundamentally, when it was just the Garden of Eden, we did have everything that we needed. And now people are more depressed, more anxious, more in the listening to the devil, it seems, than ever, as we sit on our comfy sofas drinking the drinks we want and this and that. So to me, and I'll never probably know the answer, but to me, it does seem like you're playing God when you're inventing something.
So did you ever create a masterpiece?
I'm trying. It's like, it's 50%, it's 50% done.
Oh, so it's 50% masterpiece. Yeah, and how do you know?
My eye, the lens of my eye will tell me when it's something that's harmonious, and right now it's 50%.
You know, man, I'm not quite sure, but this is kind of thought-provoking. I've thought about genius and creativity a little bit before, and I don't know if painting a painting is quite inventing something, but I wonder if even inventing is a real thing at all, because I think about artists, and they're really just, in my opinion, just putting together things that already exist. And I don't know if you can really invent anything. We're just kind of using what we got and remixing and making novel things for ourselves.
Yeah.
So I wonder if there's a true genius that kind of works through you, both in art, in engineering, whatever it is. And I'm reminded of for example, let me try and give you an example of what I'm thinking here. I'm thinking of like people that work really hard to be genius, and then the people that are just accidentally genius. And both kind of get at the same thing, and sometimes even arrive at similar places. But am I making some sense here? I'm reminded of how some people are just accidentally genius. Am I making some sense here? Like for example, if you allow me to pontificate a little bit more, and then you can answer. Like artists, they don't really know when their song is going to be a hit. Some of these people, they'll put out songs and they'll say, this was a random song I made, and it ended up being their biggest hit of all time. Sorry, you were saying?
Yeah, it's a really good point. Like, I can't remember if it was you guys speaking about this. I think Jesse was having that bit in his show where it's like, what does he call you guys? His experts.
Yeah.
I think that's where I got what I'm going to say from. He was talking about, I think it was Sean or someone said something like, you're not necessarily a genius. Genius comes to you. Do you remember that? It's like,
that it takes.
No one.
I think it was Sean might have said this, that it was.
I think it was.
Genius used to be like that word. It wasn't just something that you had. It was something that came over you. Something along those lines.
Yeah.
And the implication being almost not from you, and it possesses you, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Like, it's so fast. Like, I don't know.
I think that might be true.
Yeah, I think it probably is true, because I've noticed when I make the best things that I've ever made, it seems like I'm in a flow state where it does sound like possession, unfortunately, but it's like this state where I'm just completely zen with no thought making it. When I'm
interesting.
When I'm trying to, it's like, I don't know if you've ever looked at the Steve Jobs story, but he had the vision for the iPhone and the iPod. He just had the vision for it, but he had no way of creating it. It's like he had the flow state of understanding that this thing would work without.
I don't know if we know that.
Yeah, very true.
That's the kind of, like you saying, oh, these guys had a bunch of ego. It could have been, I really just don't know. It could have been, I don't know if Steve Jobs made a pact with a demon, and this wise many thousands year old demon showed him the magics of electronics, or he was divinely inspired by a godly genius. I don't know if we could say. I think both might exist. I have this like headcanon where I totally made this up, but I think about Cristiano Ronaldo and Messi. The football players, soccer players. And I think of Cristiano Ronaldo as like demon will. I will will it to be. I will work at it. I will make myself the greatest soccer player. And he became truly amazing. And then Messi is godly, divine. You know what I mean? Like, he's just always been amazing. Yeah. And when you watch him play, it's like the hand of God. Are you following me here? I totally made this up. Yeah. This is in my mind, but
yeah. Well, I actually have a real life version of that in my life where my brother is a natural born. He could, the first time he ever picked up a guitar, the same day. I know it's not hard, but he could play the White Stripes in the same day, and he literally just understands how to draw anything. When he was 4 years old, my parents found him drawing Batman on the side of a building at night, and it was all dimensionally correct, and the lighting was correct. And they were and I've got a very opposite reality to that, where I just don't understand it, but by sheer will, I do it.
I've always been like that with music. I've always just understood it. I don't know how to explain what I mean by understand it, but that is definitely different. That's like a talent, and that's totally true. That's different than I think you can what's it called? I think you can I don't know if disrespect is the right word, but just a talent is different than work. And everything is fake. In the chat makes a good point that, that's your talent is different than thousands of hours of training, right? Messi and Ronaldo both did a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
Interesting story about you said brother?
Yeah, that's my brother, yeah.
Appreciate that, man. Any last thing you want to say before we move the wheels
here?
Yeah,
real quick.
No problem. Go ahead.
Quick. I want to hear your opinion on this. Do you think this is ego when I say I think I'm a visionary?
You say that about yourself?
I can't help it.
And why do you say that?
Because it feels right.
And tell me, and expand on that. What is it about you? Tell me one of your visions and why you say you're a visionary.
Because I can see things that I feel like would help culture, but I don't know whether that's from the devil or not.
And have they helped the culture? Have you made your masterpiece?
Not yet.
Exactly. I think it's best to not really. It's you know what I mean. You started off the call saying I'm gonna make a masterpiece. Isn't it funny how you haven't made it yet?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
I think there's a little bit. An answer to your question is somewhere in there. I may not have it for you, but are you kind of following me a little? Because you're saying, I'm a visionary, and I think it can help the culture. Well, how have you helped the culture? Have your vision.
Right.
Right.
Right. Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem, man. I avoid making those kinds of statements about myself anyways. Not saying you're not, but just something to reflect on.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate the call, man.
It's no problem, Grant. Call me again. I loved it. Okay, moving the... Sorry if Grant cut you off there in the middle of your goodbye. It's 888-775-3773 if you want to get on there. If you want to get on there for the culture. Arthur, first-time caller out of Colorado. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Nick.
What's up, Arthur? First-time caller, man. Appreciate that.
Hey, man, your show is so interesting. I've been...
Thank you, sir.
I grew up in a very church-oriented family, and it kind of like drove me away from actually a lot of what goes on in church and stuff. So, but all these topics are stuff I've thought about since I was a kid, and I literally would want to have, meetings with the pastor as like a 7-year-old about all these topics we're talking about. You, Hake, Jesse, of course. So interesting. I'm calling is this topic I've been thinking about a lot actually this month, and the whole intelligence thing. Like I look at the music industry, for instance, and I'm like, I wonder if some of these things are like allowed by God to test us. Like, for instance, I look at music, we look at that like talent, and we look at the artist as idols a lot of the time. I kind of look at the music industry like I can't believe the concerts I sometimes see, and I see all these people raising their hands, and not once have they raised their hands, or put their hands up maybe for God, for instance, and how we like worship those people. But I wonder because Lucifer was, I guess, one of the most beautiful singers or something of that nature in the Bible. I kind of wonder, like, if that's allowed. I'm sorry?
Who was he? Or her? You said a singer in the Bible, most beautiful?
Oh, I was talking about Lucifer.
I'm following you now. Go ahead. Yeah, he was.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm kind of like...
He was like in charge of the music, no?
Yeah, so it's like, I wonder if some of these things are kind of like, they're half evil, maybe half good. Like, this is coming from I guess the heavens in a way is the way I look at it. But another thing is I was like, I live in the hills now. I used to live in LA, but I live in Colorado now. And I was exactly on the topic that you guys are talking about. I was trying to figure out like the genius in me, total egomaniac in my own head. And I was trying to connect with God in a way, just so I felt like I was going in the right direction. I just finished reading the 7 steps too with Jesse.
Right on, yeah. 7 guaranteed steps for
and so you know what,
success.
I actually ended up going through with that, creating my own business, doing exactly what he was talking about on there. But not to get distracted from what I'm talking about.
Yeah, we're getting lost in the weeds. Awesome. 7 steps. You can go and check that out. rebuildingtheman.com/stores. Short little booklet Jesse wrote. You were talking about connecting with God, though.
Yeah. So
what did you do? You said you did something to connect with God. I want you to talk about that.
I was literally just outside looking at nature, and I just came to the conclusion that we didn't really, just like you said, I don't feel like we created anything. We're duplicates and copies of what already was. I mean, I look at
even Satan, they say he's in charge of the music, but that doesn't mean he created it.
Right, exactly. And I came to the conclusion of like, why is this allowed? And I'm asking all these questions, but I'm like, man, even electricity, for instance, I look at it, I'm like, wow, that's cool. We got light. I mean, I'm still impressed by the most generic things that we look at nowadays, like planes. I still can look at that and be amazed. And then I came to the conclusion that, wow, we didn't really make up any of this. So I don't look at it like any of us are really geniuses anymore. And I wonder, my question that's bugging me is like, why is God allowing the Steve Jobs and the Bill Gates and this computer? And I'm like, man, what's compared to like a computer? Maybe the intelligence of like Lucifer is a computer. I don't know. And nature, for instance, like one thing that really hit me was the whole like electricity level. But there's like fish that live deep in the sea that are look LED colored, and they're not getting electrocuted by.
I don't see a lot of that as that deep. Although there's probably a lot of truth to what you're saying. The deep part is we'll see, for example, satanic concerts, and we're like, what is going on with society? But then you'll see someone at a satanic concert, and in your mind you'll go straight to rock throwing. Look at this slut person. This person's going to hell. What's more evil?
That's one thing I'm really struggling with. I'm trying to figure out what I guess just like anything, like a computer, you can use that for good or evil.
There's the tool thing, the whole tool thing.
And I guess that's what I'm kind of like stumped on right now. I
don't think you should be. It might be, in my opinion, and I'm not saying you're not allowed to think of these things. Oh, Nick is so boring. No, I'm just saying. When you're telling yourself I'm stumped on something, that means you're putting this importance on trying to figure out the meaning of music. But you got to understand what a folly that is. Just enjoy what you're listening to, have some awareness. But what you're trying to understand here is yourself. Okay, and what are the machinations of the music industry, and how is that connected to the spiritual industry, spiritual world? I don't know. I think you're just gonna find more questions and shallow questions. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a good point.
I think you'll find your answers to all that, and I'm not saying I have them. We're all discovering when you do that good old self-work. It's boring, but it's true.
Yeah, you're right.
It's really not that boring, though, once you start doing it.
Yeah, that's my big problem is sometimes I'll listen to you guys from time to time, and I'll be thinking of things all day just to try to figure out what is going on to put the puzzle together to make sense, and I guess I'm just sometimes not okay when things aren't making sense.
I relate a lot to you, Arthur, because I think I do this a lot too. Where
what is it that you do about that?
I leave this question in my mind. I'm like, sometimes I'll have this question in my mind, and it'll be like the mystery of whatever, the deep mysteries of myself, and why do I act this way or that way? And I'm like, the question, one day the question will come, and I will keep through toiling, I will get the answer. and I realize that that's kind of a hang up of myself. It's like, let's say for example, on thoughts and stuff like that we talk about with Jesse.
Yeah.
It's like, do you see it that way or not? And I'm not saying you have to see it that way, or I'm not saying you should lie, but don't lie. It's like, do you see it that way or not? Have you seen the truth of that or not? And if you haven't, that's okay. But if you've seen the truth of that, that's the answer. This hang up of I need to toil and figure out the answer. Maybe you already have it, or maybe you just haven't seen it. Am I making some sense here? This toiling seems a little silly, and I think I do this. I know this. I do this in my life, and I'll be like, "What is the mystery? The answer?" And it's like, What am I struggling with here? It sounds like maybe I'm struggling with a question in my mind. Hello, where did that question come from? Reminds me of the call I just had. Being a visionary, where are you getting those thoughts from? Just a little.
Is that a distraction? You think?
Say again.
Is that a bit of a Is that a distraction? You think when you stumble?
I not only think it's a distraction, but it might. It's a distraction from hell. Distracting you from something quite specific. A particular distraction. It's a pointed distraction away from stillness, those kind of things.
I find myself struggling with that probably most out of everything. And man, Nick, I'm trying to do this. I have the most struggle doing the silent prayer in the morning is when I, most of my thoughts occur. I have no problem doing it at night. Pass out. Morning is where it's been such a struggle. It's been like a struggle, and not only that, but I've been so relaxed where I pass out, and I'm like, oh, okay,
Same.
late for work now, and I'm so relaxed. But
okay, can I ask you something? Can you describe a little bit when you're saying I'm struggling with the silent prayer in the mornings? Can you describe the struggle a little bit?
So I have a son. He's back to school schedule. I don't know. It seems like any little thing can distract me, or it's almost like it's one way or the other. If I'm really
so you're
in the
sitting
silent
and
prayer,
your hands are together and you're praying, and then you get a distraction. You just get up and you're like, oh, I'm done with that.
Yeah, I mean,
or are you sitting there? And that's what I mean by, can you describe what you mean? Like, you're sitting there doing the prayer, okay?
Yeah.
Hands together, you're doing the prayer, eyes closed. Describe the struggle.
My thoughts are like almost overwhelming of what my day needs to be like, distractions, random thoughts that just don't even make sense.
And what do you do when those come? So you're sitting there, eyes closed, doing the prayer, the distractions and what you're describing comes. What do you do next?
I seem to be distracted, and then it's almost like I cut off that silent prayer, and I go about my day, and which leaves me a little bit in the middle of...
So when you say cut off, you say you get distracted and you go, okay, I'm done praying, and you get up.
I get up, start my day.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I really don't know what to tell you besides I think for both of us, for all people, discovering the rest of that situation you're describing, there's no other answer than going through. You know what I mean? You're sitting there. Right. You're going to get the distraction. You know it's going to come. And you're going to get that pull to get up. And you know this. You'll know this because you'll be in it, and only you'll know. I will never know. But you'll know that you're getting up because you're following a thought or not. Just don't follow the thought and sit there. It's gonna hurt.
Right.
It's gonna hurt.
Right. I guess
so. Are you committed or not? Is really
right. You brought that to my attention. Maybe I'm like, oh, I don't want to go through pain from first thing in the morning. Maybe that's kind of.
Yeah, 'cause I have no answer for you, but I from what you're telling me, it's like a glaring red light. It's telling me the answer's over there, and it's beyond that door, and the door is sitting there when the thoughts are telling you not to sit there.
Now, here's the interesting part is like, literally it's been like the morning is a struggle, but I can say I've been, I'll do the silent prayer during the day. I wouldn't be able to, I wouldn't be able to even know where to start on how to count on how many times I do it. No, I'm not like in peace in my own silent box, but it's like I could be working while in the silent prayer. Is that possible for me to be doing something while in the silent prayer?
I think it might be, but I don't think you should focus on that, in my opinion. This is just my opinion. And the reason I'm telling you this is because I'm reflecting on myself. And I'm thinking about all the times I thought to myself, I'm aware. And I got to tell you, man, I don't think we truly understand what that even means. Like the truest. And I think you might be setting yourself up saying, I wonder how many times in the day am I aware, I don't even know if we know what that means, that word. I think we just have to have a good attitude and do our part. And what's amazing is our part is we just have to show up and not listen to the thoughts. And so just sit there and do your part. Walk through the door, because I don't have the answer for you. Walk through the door. On the other side, you might find some more stuff.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and
totally.
That's the beauty. That's the simple beauty of it, is that you got to show up and have a good attitude. A bad attitude is the first thought that comes up. You're like, oh, that's right, I got to do this, and then you get up.
Yeah,
that's a bad attitude. You don't want to do your job. It's like showing up to work and having a bad attitude.
So now you're under the same impression that I am about, like, basically we really haven't created much. It's already been created. Are you on that same?
I think so. That makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I think so.
I just came to that conclusion recently myself.
Interesting, man.
So, yeah.
Fascinating stuff, Arthur. Is there a last thing you want to say here before we move on?
No, I appreciate you taking my call, Nick. Thank you.
No problem, Arthur. Call me again. Appreciate you tuning in.
Will do.
Moving the wheels. Right on. Great stuff. Okay. Beautiful. The Silent Prayer, rebuildingtheman.com/prayer. Oh, that's a link that you can go to, huh? I never really say that one, but it's a good one. Rebuildingtheman.com/prayer. Thank you, spoiler alert. Or the one that we all know, www.silentprayer.video. You know, I have people watching my show. I've been noticing they've been messaging me. People I used to know in Canada. They might even be watching now. They're totally fresh. They don't know Jesse. They don't know Bond. They don't know the Silent Prayer. So I got to remember to be, repeating myself in some ways. The core stuff of this show. So for all you viewers that are fresh, you've known me in Canada. You've known me throughout my different escapades in life as I've moved around many different places. You may be watching my show. I have no idea who Jesse is. Or the Silent Prayer. I'm telling you guys, check it out, silentprayer.video. Some of you may be seeking freedom, things that you may have never even heard me talk about. Stay watching. You might see a little something. Okay, we get into all sorts of stuff on the show, but every now and then it's a little deep. Here's the one moment for all of you. www.silentprayer.video. You might find something interesting there. Okay, some of you are also wondering why the heck I'm calling myself an American anchor baby. You might want to check out yesterday's show. We talked about identity, talked about some pretty cool stuff there, and why you should overcome that. Some of you who have known me years ago are now probably wondering, why the heck is this guy calling himself an American anchor baby? Check out my show yesterday. Very cool. I got some super chats here. I want to give some love to the super chats here. Da Vinci, thanks for the super chat, says, are we watching Zelensky? Where is our money? Sorry, buddy, Da Vinci, you got it all wrong. Where's my money? I'm the one wearing the Zelensky. I got the designer Zelensky on, the Burberry Zelensky on. I'm looking expensive. I'm looking like I'm worth billions of dollars in taxpayer money. I got to say, what can I say? I bear a striking resemblance to that guy, don't I? Spoiler alert says, in Soviet America, light bulbs screw you. Right on. Thanks for the super chat. Do I disavow that? What the? And Be Fit to Be Fit. Thanks for that super chat earlier. I already read this, but it was about what we were talking about. Great documentary called The Century of Self about planned obsolescence being covered. So thank you for that. Wow, Steve Strzok, Dennis 2020, Austin L. Stewart, Hake Report, Ohio Sentinel, and JLP himself in the Rumble chat. You guys holding it down. That's cool. That I got a nice audience over there on Rumble. You guys rock. Don't pick and choose thoughts. That's a setup too. There is a place you can carve out where you can escape all the thoughts in your minds. Says Steve Strzok over there on Rumble. Steve Strzok of Distraction. Thank you. What are y'all saying in the chat before I move on here? You do look like him, Beta. Stop, okay? I get to make fun of me. Now you guys making fun of me as Zelensky is starting to make me sweat. I'm getting a little offended. American, we got some deep lore for the OGs who've been watching this show for a while. You guys know, spoiler alert, our lovely mod here in the chat, holding it down. Spoiler alert says, deep lore, it was my buying and forwarding the silentprayer.video domain, which caused someone, James probably, to give me my first mod duties on the JLP channel. Right on. So it was spoiler alert who actually carved out that little piece of internet for the Silent Prayer to exist on, so many can be helped by it. So thank you, spoiler alert. Right on. All right, I want to see what you guys are saying in the chat before I move on. I thought Nick's looks familiar. Right on. I got the Zelensky on. What can I say? I got the summer Zelensky on. I have the winter Zelensky on. I also have a summer Zelensky fit, but that's for another day. Haha, Nick sounds like Trump. I came across. I do the Trump, but sometimes I turn it up to 11. I came across, right? Like that's just a cartoon of Trump now. And 𝒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎 back-to-back super chat says, put that and the sparkle shirt on the merch. Let me copy and paste. I got 3 pieces of merch. You know what? Let me not even say anything. I do this too much. It's very feminine of me. It's one of my most feminine qualities. I'll talk about things that I want to do and will do, and it's really, and then you never do them. It's really beta. It's feminine. Let me do this. Let's move on. Let's flip the script. Let's move on here. We're talking about the decaying standards, decay this, decay that. And I was going to talk about, what else? What was I going to talk about? I was going to talk about this woman, Lauren Southern, okay? I mentioned it yesterday. And you know what? I think I may have matured and grown up even in the course of this past hour and 16 minutes. Finally, the anchor baby may be somewhat becoming an anchor man because I don't really care about this. People online are fighting if she's conservative or not. And you guys can go check it out if you care. Honestly, I suggest you don't because you're not going to find the answer, okay? It's 2 sides fighting. Lauren Southern versus Rollo Tomassi. But I will say this because people are saying she's a fake conservative, this or that. And I'm not saying she's this traditional wife and all that. But if I may just describe it a little bit, she got married, she got divorced. Okay, people are saying, "Oh, you're what a conservative. You got divorced. You were saying traditional this, traditional that. I guess it didn't work out for you." And it could very well be her fault. You know how women are. Men are weak, blah, 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 whatever. But what's amazing about this is how can anyone say Lauren Southern is any less serious, in feelings. I'm talking about feelings here, not like for real. But any less serious about being right than the next person, right? Because we all kind of want things and desire things. And those desires and wants can be co-opted and manipulated by our thoughts, Satan in other people in the world. And we live by this belief, right? But it doesn't always work out that way. And it's due to our own problems and issues, right? I'm sure an evil woman may have destroyed her own marriage. Who knows? But But where was I going with all this? It segues into what I want to say about throwing rocks. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about Jesse's biblical question. Just a little bit. How often do you throw rocks at other people? And I want to move on from the Lauren Southern thing because I don't want to give you a take. I'm not taking sides here. I'm not denying what anybody out here is saying about being careful about who you pick. And just because they say they're conservative and traditional doesn't quite mean it. Fair enough. Other people are out there doing that work. So, let them do it and right on. I'm talking about myself here, throwing rocks. And before I talk about myself, I want to comment on this little tweet that Pearl Davis, Pearly Things, just Pearly Things. We love Pearl, right? We love Pearl. Pearl Davis was on the Jesse Lee Peterson show. To be more accurate, she was a guest on The Fallen State. And she's a conservative woman she's all about obeying. She says women should obey. Men, feminism's a mess. Bring back the patriarchy. Pearl's kind of based sometimes, in my opinion. I like her. She put out a tweet and she's asking the people. Well, no, sorry, she's not asking the people, but she put out this comment. I wanna get your take. What do you guys think? And it kind of fits throwing rocks, which might not be apparent just quite yet. But Pearl Davis is here in this tweet saying, "It's quite sad that a man who wants to remain pure will find it very difficult to avoid half-naked women. They're everywhere. The streets, TV, social media, books, work. How does a man avoid seeing this?" Which is an interesting question. I found this quite interesting. Because Pearl Davis, she's out here. She's standing up for the men. You got to appreciate it, right? And she's calling out the degenerate society. It's true. How does a man avoid all this and remain pure? What does she mean by remain pure? Well, there's people in the comments and many men in the comments who are agreeing. They're saying, yeah, they're agreeing. How can we remain pure? And Let me just say this. I won't scroll down to the comments here. Let me just say this. The fellas in the comments of Pearl's tweet here, they basically all believe that you're going to go blind. I'll just say that, okay? They say the impurity that the world is causing them to experience might invariably lead to blindness, maybe hairy palms, okay? And so that's what all the men in the comments are saying. They're saying, right on, Pearl, you're right. This degenerate society, I can't stay pure because of this degenerate society. And I was reminded of a little passage in the Bible, in a little book we call the Bible, about lust. Matthew. It was the Sermon on the Mount, I believe. You know, the Beatitudes, as they call them. They call them that. I don't call them that. The Sermon on the Mount. Blessed are the poor. Blessed are those who mourn. Blessed are the meek. Well, there was one part about lust. Well, there's a couple parts. There's one part about murder, too. It's really the same thing. You have heard that this was Matthew. Matthew 5? I'm a bad Bible person. Matthew 5, verse 21. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Dang. You a murderer if you have anger. And then adultery, he says, you have heard that it was said you shall not commit adultery, but I tell you that anyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And this verse, Pearl's tweet, and Jesse's biblical question kind of all fit for me. And so I want to comment on Pearl here. You know, she laments that society is this way and that it causes men to be unpure. They'll find it difficult to remain pure. How does a man avoid this? And I wonder a little bit about Jesus' message and all that. And I think it, and this is just me, this is my opinion. I'll tell you when I totally discover it. I promise you, I won't keep it to myself. I think you should be able to live in this degenerate world and be fine, okay? Because it's about the heart. It's about the inner stuff. Not saying that the degenerate, messed up world is okay, because that brings its own societal issues, right? When you pull out to the macro sense and you graph society, your numbers, if you number it all, you'll get these increases in degeneracy and out of wedlock birth and this and that. So it's not good. We're seeing these societal issues increase, but people aren't graphs and numbers, okay? People are spirits. And I know this. I know this because I don't have control in my life. And I know I'm a spirit. I'm subject to spirits. I'm subject to stuff. And so that's why I know I'm a spirit, and I know people are spirits. So if you're going to throw a rock, as we're saying in this biblical question, I notice people say it's when they say stuff, but I think I throw rocks every day. I think I throw rocks every day. Like, this is my thinking. If it's the heart that counts, and you and in your heart you're lusting over a woman, and that is the same as lusting. In your heart you're angry. It's the same as murder. Well, I don't think, you know those moments in your mind where you're like this, and it's always the really nice people who are really like this too. The nicest of people, in their minds, they're just ripping the person apart they're talking to. Be honest, you ever done this? I think you're throwing rocks if you're doing that. And I realize I do this. And this, maybe you guys, this might make you think, wow, Nick is evil. I don't know. I almost don't want to answer Jesse's biblical questions sometimes because I'm just putting it all out there, I guess, but whatever. I realize I do constantly realize Satan is talking to me in that moment. And in that moment when I realize that it's not me, it's like a voice telling me to hate. It's like literally, it's like a voice telling me to hate. It's like nothing ever happened. No stone was ever thrown. And it was an illusion. And I'm back here. I'm like, whoa, there was never a stone. I never threw a stone. That's why it's important to not let your hell out into the world, right? You're getting these thoughts, you're getting these feelings. Have a little faith and just don't act and spew it out into the world, because that's what Satan wants. He wants the fire to spread. You got a fire going on inside of you, and you're trying to put it out, and you're trying to learn on what that means, and then you open your mouth, and out of the tongue, you know what I'm saying? Spewing fire, spreading it to others, spreading your hell, and your hell can look like many things. It could look like worry, like, oh, babe, I'm so worried, and let me be real with you about this or that. Hell, you following me? Say it wants the fire to spread. So throwing rocks, lust, and this degenerate world that Pearl Davis laments, and I do appreciate her for doing so. You know, there's something in there that I've talked about that there might be something to discover there. And I'll promise you, I'll let you know when I discover it, but there might be something for you there to discover as well. Follow it to its conclusion in yourself and do a little discovering yourself. How about that? And call my show, 888-775-3773. I already see you on hold. Let me get to you here in a moment. Let me just close off this segment. What else did I want to say about this? Did that make sense? Lust in the mind, throwing rocks at others. You know what else reminds me of another rock-throwing story? Except it wasn't quite a rock. I guess they were stones in this story. And the people wanted to stone the sinning woman. You know, she was like a slut or whatever. And Jesus was like, let ye that... What does he say? I'm a bad Bible person. Let ye who's never sinned cast the first stone or whatever. Right? A little food for thought, a little stone throwing, rock throwing in the Bible, huh? Do a little Christian stuff here, huh? A little bit. What are you guys saying in the chat? What are you guys saying? You guys ripping me apart? Oh yeah, what else did I want to say about Pearly? Pearly, we love Pearl. It's quite sad that a man who wants to remain pure. Interesting, the whole remain pure. I kind of already mentioned this, but to wrap it up, remaining pure, interesting thing to ponder. What does that mean? You wonder, well, just because a woman's walking by doesn't mean you're impure. But also, what's your heart like? And you know, and maybe you don't know, and you should maybe consider examining yourself so that you may know. All right, are we lost in the weeds yet, y'all? Throwing rocks. Great stuff. Let me get to a call here because I got an interesting clip you guys are going to want to watch right after this call. Deontay, Florida. Appreciate your call. You're on the air.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Nick?
What's up? Welcome.
Not too much. I just wanted to comment on the Pearl segment.
Yeah. Remaining pure, half-naked women in the streets. Go on.
And I really like the fact that you brought in, like, the biblical question.
Yeah.
And because I think it's interesting, I wanted to give you my take, see what you think, is that when Jesus said, he without sin cast the first stone, what I'm taking, how I have interpreted it, and what I believe it to be is that you should never judge somebody with say for instance, like in the sense, let's use this Pearly situation.
Okay.
When she's talking about, hey, the girls out here doing this, and that, I don't believe it's wrong. I don't even believe it's throwing stones to point out the obvious or point out what's going on or disavow what's going on in the world. But I do believe that it becomes a casting stone when you think that you're better than somebody because they're doing X, Y, and Z. So say, for instance, if I say, well, those guys over there are doing this, and I get this ego high from it because I believe that I'm better than you now because you're a degenerate and I'm not, quote unquote, right? I think that's where we get the casting stones. And from her comment, I can't tell. She didn't say, oh, I'm better than you, but it's more about the heart and the individual. Well, it's no way we can even tell. That's something she would have
I wasn't making that claim either way. I just want to make that clear. But you're making a lot of sense, man. Go on.
What do you think about that?
Well, I wasn't saying that about Pearl, that she's throwing stones. I was just reflecting on what that kind of means. But we should. Like I was saying earlier too. I appreciate her calling it out because we are kind of like I was saying here. I'll just repeat what I said earlier, that there are societal issues with what she's saying, and we're seeing the effects of that. That doesn't mean we throw that away. We could care about that and call it out and require better standards of ourselves and those around us. That's no, I don't think that's wrong. And I agree with what you're saying, man. The throwing the stone part is, I think it's internal. We might have to wait till Sunday, but I think it really is an internal thing and it has to do with judgment.
Yeah. I would love to see, I think Pearl, I don't know what Pearl's heart is. She seems like she wants the right thing, but I wonder, and I don't really wonder, it doesn't really make a difference, but when she puts that out, it doesn't really even matter, to be honest with you.
No,
but it is
on.
interesting to see that she posts that type of stuff.
Like, you think it's an ulterior motive?
No, I don't know. I don't know, and I don't even want to put that out because it's not right. It's not right for me to say. But
I almost went demon mode and coaxed it out of you, but I appreciate what you're doing, and I agree with you.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved. But I think it is something to put out because we should put it out, because it is harder. It's harder for guys today to be. There's so much going against society with the single moms, with the promiscuousness, whatever. I'm black is slow, and all the other things that we have going on in society. So it is difficult, but I think that has there's more. I think it's a lot more to overcome, but it could be better, in a way, because back in the day you could pretend probably a little bit easier, but today you can see the people that are really taking the straight and narrow compared to the other people. Where I'm not sure if yesterday was better than today, but it's definitely a lot more to overcome. It seems like in the societal sense.
Yeah. Generally, I like Pearl. I don't go around trying to make some kind of decision. She was great on the Fallen State. I hope she forgives. I hope she goes to her mother and does the thing. And I hope we hear from her and see what happens in her life.
And the last thing I want to say is I used to be like this quote unquote Muslim, right? Back in the day.
Yeah.
And they one thing that is to be said is over there, they said that fasting is different here than in the Middle East because over there everything's closed down. And they said they would tell the people over here that fasting, God looks at us, not us, but God looks at those that fast over here in a different light because all the food places are open. So it takes more restraint to do the things that it's a little bit easier for people to do over there, right? If everybody's closed and all the jobs are closed down, but the people over here that fast have to go to work and do the regular, have everything. It's so much temptation. So I think that has something to be said about what we do, is that we are definitely in a world that is against us. And for those that are able to stand up in a world that's against us, I think that it's to be said. That's why I don't want to speak down on Pearlie, because she is saying great things.
I appreciate your call, man, and I definitely agree. Call me again.
Thank you, buddy. You have a good day.
No problem, Jonesy. Take care. Moving the wheels. Man, great calls today. You guys rock, keeping the show going. You guys making it happen. Check this out. We got people in the chat who are a little shocked and surprised by this comparison that's being made of myself and another individual. And they have the first time they're hearing it today. Let me do a little side by side, or should I say, not a side by side, but check this out. Let me do a little snazzy tech move. Let's see if I can. Ooh, you seeing it, chat? I'm fading in the Zelensky. Do you see it? Okay, we'll do it again. Slow the other way. And we're back. Anchor baby. Okay, let's get a 50-50 mix. Let's get a 50-50 mix of Zelensky. Let me see if I can look to this. Let me look at this camera straight on. Okay, you see in the chat? Okay, I'm looking at the camera. I'm trying to look at the camera straight on here. I'm trying to fit myself in the... Do you see it? Do you see it? We're going Zelensky mode. No, I shouldn't be making this comparison. So give me your money. Give me all your money. All your tax dollars belong to us. Okay. What do you guys say in the chat? What do you guys say in the chat? He's your daddy, Nick. Whoa. Wait a second. Chat, did I find my dad? Wait a second, chat. Yo, did I just find my dad? You guys know I don't know my dad, right? And you know how I've always wondered if I've been told I'm half Cuban, I'm half Puerto Rican. Like, what am I? What was my dad? I think all the women in my family lied to me. I think I'm half Ukrainian. I don't know how to feel about this, guys, but I think I forgive him. I know I need to tell him, but I want to be free. I think I found my dad. Long lost dad. How do you feel about usury, Nick? I disavow my father's usury. We're having fun, okay? We're watching the Zelensky show. BRB, Nick's dad before he was born. No, the story goes, I don't care. This is too personal. The story goes that he wanted to be there for me. But the family was like, no, we're moving. What the heck, y'all? Anyways, we already talked about that, though. We're cool. Bond Network helping men return to the father. First, I found out Rick from Hampton is my pops, and now this. Real Mr. Mad in the chat and OG. Appreciate that. That's funny. Let's move on. I have a video for you guys. You guys want to check this out? We're talking about a couple things here. We maybe even got a little bit deep on the show. We'll take this in. Why do women take good advice and just flip it upside down and ruin it? Women have this amazing ability to do this. And honestly, I want to be fair here and be like, men do it too and all that. And yeah, they do. They're being women when they're doing it. But man, women have a particular ability to take like good, simple advice and just ruin it. Flip it around, run it through some kind of weird demonic Eve filter, and what comes out of their mouth, what was input was pure goodness, and what comes out of their mouth is just Eve tendencies. You know what I'm saying? Let me play you the clip, okay? Tell me what you guys think. Beautiful advice. Just gold goes in, poop comes out. What the heck is going on, ladies?
So I'm at my studio and I was listening to the Slay Girl Slay podcast. If you don't know what that is, baby, you've been sleeping under a fucking rock.
I never heard of it.
But this is the podcast right here. Her name is Ashley. Ashley's just, But you can see the title was Shut Up and Mind Your Business. Baby, when I tell you that podcast hits so motherfucking hard. Shut the fuck up and mind your business. She said a whole lot nicer than I did, but she basically was saying, stop telling everybody all your business and expecting them to react the same way you react. Baby, that's my number one problem. I talk too damn much. Stop telling them what you got planned for yourself, your goals, your aspirations, and expecting them to be as excited as you are for your dreams. Baby, they're not their dreams. Why would they be excited about that? Then got the audacity to be feeling some kind of way when they don't feel the same way you do. Girl, they are not you and you are not them. Whenever you tell somebody something and their first response is, when I leave.
Okay. We love you, ladies. Oh, man. So this woman, she was listening to some podcast, or another woman, and it might have been some good advice. It sure sounded like it at the beginning. She says, why do women, why are you telling people all your business? Sounds a little even like Jesse Lee Peterson, maybe. But she said, why tell people your business? And she's like, yes, I agree. And it's so funny because it's pretty good advice, okay? Like I was saying earlier, one of my most feminine qualities, of which I might have a few, is telling people, and I try not to really anymore, but I do it on my show. I'll talk about what story I'm going to talk about, then I never get to it. And it's like talking about what you're going to do and your desires. It's all ego. And you're not going to do it anyways because you already got your ego gratification with all your talking. And she even says it herself. She was like right at the gate. She was right there. She says, I talk way too much. She's all like, I talk too much. She was right there. I mean, why do women take good advice and ruin it? They literally run the word of God, filter it through their mind, and it's like Eve comes out of their mouth. as if everybody else was wrong in this situation for not feeling how you did. And they're wrong for that, she concluded. Like, that's not it. The advice was so good because it's about you. The advice was perfect because it's about you not telling people, and you are the problem, and you're wrong for going around telling people all your desires. And she was almost there. If you notice, she was like, I talk way too damn much, and I should stop. Because they're not going to reciprocate, and they're not going to and they. It's like she was right there. But you guys see what I'm saying? It's like, anyways, that was just a clip I saw. It allowed me to talk like that for a few minutes. Someone send her, you know what? Someone send her to the Joel Friday TV. He'll set her straight. You know what I mean? I could totally see Joel doing a similar show about, not telling people your stuff, like the way that this woman, the podcast she was listening to, but from the perspective of a man. Send her to Joel Friday TV. He'll set her straight. Because someone's gotta. What's up, ladies? How come you guys are so good at that? You made it about her. She made it about herself. She took that good advice and was like, yeah, you're right. You're so right, queen. They should be praising me and feeling the way I feel and loving life like I'm loving it. Moon Cricket Stinks with the super chat. Thank you for that. Says, Jesse Lee was the OG of the manosphere. Don't marry sluts or you marry hell. Don't let simps and cooks fool you into settling. Oh, geez. I don't know if I can say that. No hymen, no diamond. That's just like scientific, right? Ooh, anyways. Hey, thanks for the super chat, Moon Cricket Stinks. Jesse Lee, OG. Appreciate that. Put some respect on the JLP name. Come on. Okay, I got a caller here. Let me get right to you here. Let me get to my call here. We got some interesting body cam footage coming up. We're switching gears after this call. They're saying they stopped a terrorist attack and nobody even bats an eye. We got some amazing body cam footage. We're going to get into that. But first, I have Steve, New Jersey. You're on the air, sir. Appreciate your call.
What's up, Nick?
Hey, welcome.
Very interesting show today, all over the place, and I love it.
Thank you, sir.
But I wanted to, there's so many things I want to talk about, but the one that stood out the most is about the silent prayer. Because I want to share something that I've realized recently that maybe, it can at least help somebody out a little bit, which is I've noticed for me, and I want to know if you've seen this too, when you're really like in the moment, when you're done doing whatever it is, like, if you're doing your show or if you're talking to somebody, I will walk away from it and I'll forget that I was even in that because then I'm so focused on whatever it is, like 5-10 minutes later.
Right.
And then the thoughts will come in and be like, you got to go back in your head. You're losing your memory. How did you forget that you weren't just doing all that stuff? And
wow.
It's such a setup.
Yeah,
Have you ever experienced that?
I relate, man.
Right,
totally.
and so from noticing that, what I realize is people are extremely intellectual because they're relying on thinking about what they got to say, what they're going to do, how they sound, all these different layers. It's not even, like you said to the caller earlier, it's not worth figuring out all this stuff because I catch myself when I start to go into that, like intellectual, start questioning, you're just punishing yourself because you're never going to get anywhere and you're not present to what you're doing anyway. So true, man. And why not just leave those things as like interesting things? Why is it something you got to figure out and toil to figure out? Like what? What do you, the mysteries of notation, music notes and stuff? Like, I'm with you, man, that it's a little bit more confusing than we give it credit for. And we're just being distracted.
Right.
Distraction.
No pun intended, right? So I bring this up real quick, just as a quick story, because I don't really go out to the bars and concerts like I used to. I used to do that like multiple times a week.
Yeah.
A friend asked me to go see his band the other week, and I was like, you know what? Yeah, I'll go out. Fine. And I went out and I was just talking to random people. That's just what you do, And I started talking to this one guy, and we were just talking about the cover song that the chick was playing or whatever. Just making a joke, being light, hanging out. And the next thing I know, we're like 10 minutes, he's 10 minutes deep into this diatribe about all these liberal talking points. I'm like, I didn't ask you any of this.
Damn.
You know what I mean?
Right.
But it was a moment for me because, listen, I've been there. You just start talking to somebody and you think you have to spew everything, whether you're like a Jesse thumper, Bible thumper, even a liberal thumper. You think you got to say these things, and you don't have to. Like
You know what I mean?
Yeah, people don't really talk. They don't really have conversations. They just have stuff they want to say. And this is a person that's, you know what I mean? Like, I'll say my thing, and then you'll say your thing, but I'm not responding to you. I'm just saying my thing. I'm reminded a little bit of, like, for example, the conversation we had with Joel and all that about honesty and all that. It's like we all kind of had our own takes, but I don't know if I ever really asked. I'm talking about myself, what I did wrong. I don't know if I ever really asked him what he meant by the certain words. What does honesty mean? You know what I mean? And have a real conversation. Am I making any sense? I may be bringing up things that don't matter, but I'm just reminded of it, that we have conversations, but we don't really talk to each other.
Right. So kind of like when I listen to Jesse's Church on Sunday, once I'm done listening to it, I just walk away from it. I don't try to, I used to think way too much about the things he was saying, the topics that everybody was bringing up, and now I'm just like, listen, the Holy Spirit's going to reveal it to me if I'm ready to see it anyway, so why am I going to try and think about it and figure all this stuff out? But if I'm not going to go to somebody, like you just said, ask them the questions and try to tease out what they're saying, because they might be saying the same things, you just don't understand the words they're using.
So true.
So, yeah.
So you don't like hanging out you don't like going out, hanging out like that anymore?
So
what do you think about?
I had to take a break. I had to take a break from it because I just was, I had to stay away from the music for a while. It's just what I had to do. But when I went out, I was like, wait a minute, why? I'm all in my head thinking, I got to avoid this. And like what you were saying before, listen, this girl's at the bar dressed half naked. I'm like, I don't really care. It doesn't bother me. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, why run away from people?
Totally. Oh, yeah, so true, man. What do you think about having friends?
I think friends are fake, but if you appreciate them, there's nothing wrong with, spending time with them and getting to know them. But if you're using them to make yourself feel better, like you have something in your life, then it's just the wrong intention.
Right on, man. I was just interested in what you thought, Steve. Appreciate that. Anything you want to say before we move the wheels?
Nah, I think I took enough time. I got to get moving to myself. So
Thank you, sir. Always a pleasure, man. Call me again.
Take care.
Steve Strock of Destruction on YouTube. What was I going to say about friends? I mean, I wasn't really going to say anything. I just wanted to hear what he thought. I'm putting together a little something. I got a little friends segment. We might deal with that one of these days, maybe this week. Let me show you something. Is something wrong? What the? Am I not streaming? Oh, I'm not recording. All right. All right. I was my heart sank in panic. I actually really didn't feel anything. I was totally in awareness, but Bill was showing me that there might have been an issue. I thought it was a stream issue. It's a recording thing. I'm going to have to deal with that later. Okay. We got an exciting video for you. Syrian refugee violent jihad attack foiled by North Dakota police is caught on body cam, and the media is covering it up. According to Revolver.news, refugee by the name of Mohammed Barakat had ominous plans for his Sunday afternoon in Fargo, North Dakota. This was in July. White History Month, during White History Month. Leaving his home with an alarming amount of weapons and ammunition, he appeared to be ready to unleash jihad against the unsuspecting citizens of Fargo who had welcomed him into their city. Thankfully, Mohammed's plans didn't pan out. Instead of carrying out his likely intended violence, fate stepped in and prevented him from reaching his final destination. Instead of unleashing a holy war on the people, he found himself in an intense battle with police. Tragically, 2 police officers and 1 innocent woman lost their lives. But they stopped this male. Body camera footage shows a gunman opening a barrage of gunfire on North Dakota police as they responded to a routine crash. Mohammed Barakat, armed with 1,800 rounds of ammunition. Have you heard of this at all? I heard about this today. And we're talking about decaying and a number of different things here, but this is kind of the same here because there's a decaying border and a decaying of justice and standards, okay? If you remember, it seems every little mass shooting and becomes big-time news, headlines everywhere. And you can have your opinion on whether that's right or wrong. You know, are they signal boosting for more mass shootings? Are they just reporting the news? Whatever. I say, and many others are saying this, not just me, that there's a focusing on some and an ignoring of others. And how more fitting is this story that it even happened during White History Month? And it seems like they ignored this. I didn't see it plastered on every headline and news aggregate, the top of Daily Mail, the top of Drudge, the top of everything. Not this guy, Mohammed 𝒏𝒊𝒂𝒎, armed with 1,800 rounds of ammunition, multiple firearms, tactical gear. Where's all the usual suspects, huh? 𝒏𝒊𝒂𝒎, a Syrian asylum seeker. Huh, take that in too. Coming into the country, seeking asylum. Protect me. I'm an asylum seeker, America. I need help. Protect me. And what did America do? They did it. In 2012. Authorities believe 𒒏𝒂𝒎's ambush was the prelude to a larger attack that day with a potential target of the downtown Fargo Street Fair attended by thousands. His internet search history revealed searches related to mass shootings, with his final search focusing on the downtown Fargo Street Fair, which was taking place the same day. Body cam video. We'll watch some of this. Some of you guys want some excitement. Some of you guys require excitement. Some of you guys are like, I am so bored. What has this guy been talking about? He's just been talking. Where are the explosions? Where are the explosions, the gunfights? Where's the pandemonium, the death? It seems like my whole audience is George Carlins. It's like you guys are all a bunch of George Carlins. R.I.P. to George Carlin. He was an atheist, but we love him. He was a comedian. He had that famous bit. I love it. I love it when people die. I kind of like it when a lot of people die. You guys know what I'm talking about? It's like I got a bunch of George Carlins in the chat. I kind of like it when a lot of people die. Well, we got a little body cam footage for you people who need excitement. And I'll stop and, we'll watch a little bit of this, okay? Because we got some heroes, if you can call them that. You might consider them heroes.
Shootout that lasted 1 minute and 46 seconds. Officer Robinson knew.
Wake up. It's an exciting video. If Twitter will load, what the? Come on, Twitter. This is exciting video moment. Don't do this right now. Okay, we got the video, y'all. Let's go.
1 minute and 46 seconds. Officer Robinson knew he had to act quickly. Body cam footage shows Robinson following his training to a T to neutralize the threat caused by Mohammed 𒒏𝒂𝒎.
It wasn't even a hesitation when his gun went empty, right to the reload. These are things that we are trained to do. You'll see him move around that vehicle a couple of times. That's training.
Chief David 𒒏𝒊𝒄𝒌𝒔𝒕 also says Officer Robinson showed extreme restraint in a time of complete chaos.
Look at how many times Officer Robinson, even in that situation, when he's the only one standing there at the moment, other people are in need of very dire medical attention, provides opportunities for Mr. 𒒏𝒂𝒂𝒎 to surrender.
Fargo police have reviewed Robinson's body cam footage, along with the footage from the other officers involved in dash cam video that is not released yet. They looked at the immediacy and severity of the threat posed by 𒒏𝒂𝒂𝒎's conduct in proximity to weapons, other use of force options that Robinson may have had at the time, and the risk to the public.
Wow, amazing. We'll watch the rest of this in a bit. Matthew in the chat saying, anytime I see a new shooter story, I immediately expect some false flag actor story. I don't trust this stuff anymore. And although I always warn against just being totally conspiratorial, just like, assuming things without totally knowing, as much as I say, as I, speak against that, I do clip a bit loud. My apologies. I do understand where you're coming from, Matthew. You're saying, I just don't trust this stuff anymore. And you got to understand, a lot of people feel this way. And when you have a whole country with many people feeling this way, I mean, anyways, look, I just want to say, you reminded me of something I learned, Matthew. I learned a new term the other day. Have you ever heard of the term violent event denial, VED? I learned this just the other day. It's a term of service on Twitter. And it's a social media rule, okay, that Twitter adopted and others are adopting as well. They're calling it violent event denial. What you just did, Matthew, you simply saying you don't trust these stories, you are committing violent event denial. So if you were simply to have a question, you are denying a violent event. If you have a question about January 6th, if you have a question about this or that story, you are denying a violent event, and violent event denialism will be censored. AKA, you're going against the official story, AKA the government and media? Well, that's violent event denialism. Something you may not have heard before. Just thought I'd educate you. All right, y'all, let's watch some of this video.
It became clear Officer Robinson's actions were justified.
His tactical approach, his training, it was spot on, and there was no concerns from on our side. So
all 31 shots needed, law enforcement says, to stop an extreme threat to the community.
Number of rounds that Officer Robinson is able to put into 𝒏𝒄𝒂𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒆𝒂𝒎, and 𝒏𝒄𝒂𝒃𝒂𝒔𝒕𝒓𝒄𝒂𝒍𝒔. I think any reasonable conclusion would be he's wearing body armor of some kind, he's got a bulletproof vest, something that he's persisting on, because at that point, Robinson's moving in, and he knows, I'm sure knew, that he was connecting with those. Officer Robinson neutralizes the threat with finality, appropriately, reasonably.
Wow. I mean, I don't know if I can show this. Skip on a little bit.
Follow. Reporting conducting a training review of the entire incident, and that includes looking at response and the aftermath that followed. Reporting from the Fargo Police Department, Sam Getzinger, WDAY News.
Wow. Mohammed Barakat. Is this anybody in the chat just hearing about this today? Upside down, two-tiered justice, all the buzzwords. But, you know, I don't mean to be so flippant. It is true, though. It is true. It seems like, you know, I mean, you hear this, but it's true. It's kind of, you could say, oh, it's so annoying to hear this or play it out, but it remains true. It's kind of like how I heard Larry Elder on the Breakfast Club the other day, and he was talking about fatherlessness, and he said it in such a way that at the beginning, Satan, if you believe the mind, was trying to make me feel, and I bet you many, that this is such a played out topic, fatherlessness. I've heard this one before. But then the way he finished that was so perfect. You should just check it out yourself. I'm just trying to bring light to the fact that you've heard it before, but imagine if it was a white guy. But it's true. It's like the mass shooting or whatever violence and this or that committed, it's every detail, every headline. It's for days, weeks. What did the parents do? What did they say? What did he eat? I only heard about Mohammed Barakat today, and this was in July during White History Month. Okay? Wild stuff. And then Sanity continues, you know, this terrorist story I wanted to segue into the border a little bit. And they basically welded open. You know what? I'll skip all this. I'll show you the end of this. I'll leave some of this for tomorrow. but I got to show you this. You know, I say I didn't build a wall. They say I didn't build a single mile of that beautiful, beautiful wall. But then why are the feds? What are the feds doing here? What did the federal agents that welded, what did they weld open here? What am I looking at, chat? It looks like a wall. It looks like a big, beautiful wall, maybe not completed, with gates welded open, according to New York Post. Why are they welded open? It seems like wherever these parts of wall were placed, they seem to be very effective because someone has decided they must be open, that they were just blocking too much. This particular point of entry is important, and it needs to be welded open. What's going on here, New York Post? Can you tell us a little bit of the story? Open floodgates at Arizona border. You may have heard of this. Allow thousands of migrants to walk in the country They're flowing in through the U.S. border in Arizona every day, literally through open floodgates that have made the Tucson Post the busiest point of illegal entry in the country. U.S. officials have inexplicably welded open 114 massive gates along the Arizona border. They're saying to allow water to flow freely during the annual monsoon season and for the migration of endangered species of antelope. Okay, y'all? No. We have to weld these up. Oh, the endangered species that they're not endangered. Let's be real. They're having a lot of kids. The species, the dangerous species coming through the welded open doors. No. You can undoor those. We're worried about the endangered species of antelope, and the water must flow freely during monsoon season. Here's what I don't understand. Can't water flow through those little slats? Do you really need the gates open? Do you really need the gates wide open for water to... I mean, I'm seeing gaps. I'm seeing little gaps that water can fit through and not people. They're not people-shaped gaps, but they look like maybe water-shaped gaps. Are you telling me that's not enough? Maybe I'm just an idiot, guys. Maybe I don't understand monsoon season. Maybe I don't understand how water works. But it seems to me like water would be able to flow through those little gaps, and you don't need to weld them open because we have a dangerous species coming through. I'm just kind of saying here, y'all. Just kind of my thoughts here. Maybe I'm a little conspiratorial, okay? But this is just my opinion. But yeah, there's some other stuff with the Saudi border. They're renting wombs out here. I'm going to leave this all for tomorrow. Ooh. Dang, I wanted to do this race and IQ segment. It'll fit with the border stuff tomorrow. You're going to want to tune in. There's a little bit of a twist. And Trump and more. And, of course, more calls and all that. Join me tomorrow for American Anchor Baby at 12. We got a Wednesday show planned for tomorrow. It's going to be good. It's already looking like it's going to be good. And, of course, Jesse Lee Peterson's show, The Hake Report. And we got a big new show. You're going to want to tune in. Let me even see if I could put the link in the chat. Yes, chat. If you're in the chat right now, you're going to want to pay attention because I'm about to put a link in the chat, okay? The link that I'm putting in the chat, it will take you to Hassan's first episode of his show tomorrow at 11 a.m. You don't want to miss it. 11 a.m. Wednesdays. It's looking like it's going to be Wednesdays. We're going to have a wait-and-see attitude. We love Hassan. We're going to watch the show, Walking on Water Hassan. The link is in the chat. You can find it. Wow Hassan. That's W-O-W-H-A. Let me say that again. W-O-W-H-A-S-S-A-N. That's Wow Hassan on YouTube. Link is in the chat. Awesome. We're going to watch Hassan's new show tomorrow. All right, y'all. That's enough of me. That's the show. You guys been amazing. Much appreciated. Catch you guys tomorrow. Take care.